Hello, welcome to the video for lesson 1-10. Here are the notes for this lesson, and you'll notice that we're looking at page 31 from your notes packet. So the target for this is I can solve perimeter word problems. So I know that you've probably heard of perimeter. Essentially, when we're talking about a geometric figure like a rectangle or a square or a triangle, one way that you can get the perimeter is to add up all the sides. We have an example problem here that we're going to follow, and before we do the example, let me just talk about the different steps. So, well, here, we'll read the example and then walk through it. The width of a rectangular flower bed is 5 yards shorter than its length. The perimeter of the flower bed is 26 yards. What is the length and width of the flower bed? So you need to find both the length and the width. You're trying to find both. Okay? Now, I always like to follow my buck strategy. Put a box around the question, circle some important things, actually 5 yards shorter than the length, the perimeter is 26, and that kind of stuff. So the first step is you should always draw a picture to help you visualize what's going on. So you have a picture of a rectangle, and then label it. And this is basically replacing your let statement. So we have the length, and then it says that the width is 5 yards shorter than the length. So if the length is L, then we would do L minus 5 for the width. So the sides, you can see those are L minus 5. The top and the bottom are both L. Then you set up an equation. So one equation for perimeter is P equals L plus W plus W. There are some other alternatives for perimeter. For rectangle, we may also think of 2L plus 2W, or even P equals 2 parentheses L plus W. So in this example, we're going to use just adding them all up. Remember, if you have a figure that's not a rectangle, that's what you'll need to do anyways. So solving the equation, combine like terms, so you have 4 L's and minus 10 equals 26. Add 10 to both sides. 36 equals 4L. Divide both sides by 4. And L equals 9. So the length is 9 yards. Now you have to remember to substitute that in to figure out your width. A lot of people forget this part. This is super important. Extra important. Very important to remember to do. A lot of students will stop at just solving. You've got to remember to plug it back in. Now, the check for this, I'm actually going to show you the check a little differently. I'm going to just plug in the numbers and say, okay, well, if this is 4 and this is 4 and this is 9 and this is 9, what is 9 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4? Does it equal 26? And that's essentially the same thing, but not as formal as the check we do with equations. All right, so let's try a couple of examples. So look over at page 32, and we have the width of a rectangle is 6 centimeters less than the length. The perimeter is 72 centimeters. Write and solve an equation to find the dimensions of the rectangle. All right, so there is our what we're being asked to do. We're finding the dimensions of the rectangle. So draw a picture of a rectangle. No, it does not need to be a perfect rectangle, although some of you will make it perfect. All right, so then we also know that the width of the rectangle is 6 centimeters less than the length. We know the perimeter is 72 centimeters. So P equals 72. since the width is 6 centimeters less than the length, that's the smaller sides, those will be the width. So the top and the bottom are my lengths. Notice how I make my lowercase l, I just put a little mark there because I hate how it looks like a 1. So now I'm going to do L minus 6 for my 2 widths. Now, I'm going to use a different formula. I'm not going to use adding all the sides. I'm going to use P equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Well, the length is just L, so that stays the same. I'm going to replace P with 72. 2L is still just 2L. But now the width is going to be 2 times L minus 26. And you can distribute that 2. And when you do, you get 2L plus 2L minus sorry, that's not a mistake. I know. That's supposed to be just 6. I'm not sure why I wrote 26. So it should be 2 minus 12. Okay. So now combine like terms. 2L and 2L is 4L. So we have 72 equals 4L minus 12. Now I'm going to add 12 to both sides. 84 equals 4L. Divide both sides by 4. And you get the length, which is 21. So over here, my length is 21 centimeters. The width is 21 minus 6. Well, what's 21 minus 6? 15 centimeters. Alright, so now, to do the check, I've got 21 times 2 plus 15 times 2. So 2 times 21 is 42 plus 30. Does that equal 272? It does. It checks. Alright, so there's one example. Let's take a look at the next example. Actually, I'm going to help you set this next one up, and then I'm going to let you finish it. I'll tell you what the answer is supposed to be and see if you can figure it out. Alright, so the length of the base of an isosceles triangle, remember what isosceles means, there's 2 congruent sides, is 10 less than twice the length of one of its legs. If the perimeter of the triangle is 50, find the length of the base of the triangle. Now, they didn't give us any label for the 50, so we're going to call it units. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is draw a picture of an isosceles triangle. No, it's not a perfect isosceles triangle. By the way, these tick marks mean these are the legs, the sides that are congruent. So I don't know how long they are, so I'm going to call them X. Alright, so the base is the bottom part, and what it says is that it is 10 less than twice the length of one of its legs. So if the leg is X, twice that is 2X, and 10 less than that is minus 10. So we have our dimensions, but with a variable, so we obviously need to solve for X. Our perimeter is going to be 50 units. So I want you to go ahead and solve this. I will, actually, I was going to give you the answer, but I figure, you know what, I'll let you see if you can figure it out. It is a nice answer, so if you get a decimal or a fraction or something that doesn't work out nice, then you've done it wrong. But if you get a nice answer, you can always check it to make sure all the sides add up to 50. If it doesn't, then obviously you need some help. So good luck, and we will see you in math.